Can a father really donate his own innocent child to Yamaraja, the god of death? This is a mysterious tale from the Upanishads, where a 7-year-old boy's sheer resolve shook the very throne of the Lord of Death. Standing at the gates of death for 3 days without food or water, this child asked Yamaraja questions. What was that secret of the soul? Let's find out in this extraordinary story.
The gods are kind.
This is a story from the Upanishads. According to the scriptures, Rishi Kahoda, a man of supreme wisdom, performed the Vishwajit Yajna. According to mythological beliefs, upon the completion of this sacrifice, no sorrow or melancholy remains in life. Only eternal bliss prevails. With this aspiration, the Rishi was performing the yajna, in which he had to donate his entire wealth. Following his vow, he continued to give everything away. Rows of seekers, beggars, and brahmanas stood before him. Beside the Rishi went a massive pile of his possessions and a large herd of his cows. One by one, the seekers came, took something, and departed. Initially, the best items were being given away, leaving behind things of lesser quality. Consequently, there was an eagerness among the seekers to move forward quickly. A time came when almost everything had been donated, and only a few old, frail cows remained. The young boy, Ashtavakra, who must have been only 6 or 7 years old at the time, was watching all of this. He went to his father, Rishi Kahoda, and asked, "Father, these old cows are of no use. Why are you donating them? They will only become a burden to the seekers. Why not let them stay in the ashram?" The Rishi smiled and said, "I have taken a vow to donate my entire wealth, so I cannot keep them with me." Somewhere in the corner of the Rishi's vast treasury of knowledge, a small space remained empty. He forgot that a donation should only consist of useful things that benefit others. By donating useless items, one only places a burden on the receiver. However, the Rishi was so intoxicated by the sight of his yajna reaching success that he did not consider these points. Meanwhile, Ashtavakra had heard during the discussions of the sages that a son is also considered a father's wealth. A thought arose in his innocent mind. Since his father had vowed to donate all his wealth, he would surely donate him as well. Rishi Kahoda had no such intention. His idea of donation was limited to objects and cattle. He remained absorbed in the completion of his task. Just then, Ashtavakra reached him again and asked, "To whom will you donate me?" The Rishi thought it was just a child's curiosity and did not answer. Ashtavakra asked a second time. At that moment, the Rishi was about to donate his last cow, so he deliberately ignored the boy. Ashtavakra asked a third time, "To whom will you donate me?" Seeing the interruption in his work, the Rishi grew angry and shouted in rage, "To Yamaraja, the Lord of Death!" Hearing this, Ashtavakra immediately left. He approached an elderly monk present in the ashram and asked, "Where does Yamaraja live?" Thinking it was just a childish curiosity, the old monk replied, "In Yamaloka, very far from here." That was enough. Ashtavakra set out on his journey to Yamaloka. Everyone in the ashram was busy with the yajna, so no one noticed. Ashtavakra kept walking, passing through forests and mountains. He cared neither for hunger nor thirst, nor did he feel any fear. He walked with a firm resolve. He had to reach Yamaraja. As he walked, he became so focused on his goal that he lost consciousness of his body and mind. Eventually, he collapsed. Though his physical body fell, his consciousness remained on its journey and reached Yamaloka in its subtle body, astral form. It sounds a bit strange, doesn't it? But friends, this is how the story is described. For now, keep faith and move forward with the tale. For Ashtavakra, Yamaloka was exactly as he had imagined. When he reached the gates of Yamaloka, the Yamadoots, messengers of death, did not allow him to enter. When Ashtavakra asked why, they said a living being can only enter here after death. Ashtavakra replied, "But my father has donated me to Yamaraja, so I must go to him." The Yamadoots laughed at his childish stubbornness, yet they still refused him entry. Ashtavakra did not give up. He sat down at the gate in a meditative posture and began to contemplate Yamaraja constantly. 3 days passed. He was already unaware of hunger and thirst. Now he even stopped his breath. Death was prematurely awakened, and the throne of Yamaraja shook. He immediately appeared before Ashtavakra. Only then did Ashtavakra breathe. Yamaraja was stunned to see such firm resolve in such a small child. Yamaraja asked the reason for his arrival. Ashtavakra explained everything. Hearing this, Yamaraja smiled and said, "Parents do nothing without a reason. If they have sent you to me, it must be the ordinance of destiny." Meanwhile, back at the ashram, after the completion of the yajna, the residents noticed Ashtavakra's absence. Everyone began searching for him. The father remembered that in his anger, he had spoken of giving Ashtavakra to Yamaraja. He feared the boy might have left in resentment. Rishi Kahoda, along with the others, joined the search. While searching, they found the same old monk in the forest who had told Ashtavakra the way to Yamaloka. The old monk grew worried, fearing he had unknowingly committed a sin. If any harm came to the child, he would be to blame. He too joined the search. On the other hand, Yamaraja was deeply impressed by Ashtavakra's determination. He said, "I am very pleased with you. Ask for any 3 boons." Ashtavakra said, "My father donated his entire wealth to the sages, but he donated me to you. However, after coming here, I realized one can only come to you after death. This means my father is dissatisfied with me and wanted total liberation from me. Therefore, O Yamaraja, I wish for my father to become pleased with me. May he receive the fruits of his yajna and attain supreme bliss." Yamaraja said, "Tatastu, so be it." Ashtavakra asked his second question. "I have heard that whoever is born must die. Then how are the gods immortal, even though every god has a story of their birth?" Hearing this, Yamaraja realized that Ashtavakra was a child of extraordinary intelligence. Instead of asking for something for himself, he was curious about spiritual knowledge. Yamaraja answered, "Every god has been assigned a task for the welfare of the world. As they perform these tasks, the people of the world pray to them. Those prayers generate an energy which the gods continue to receive. That is why they have remained immortal from the ancient times until today." Meanwhile, Rishi Kahoda and the other sages reached the spot where Ashtavakra's unconscious body lay. The Rishi became distressed and immediately began to tend him. Simultaneously, Ashtavakra asked his third question: "What happens to the soul after death?" Yamaraja did not want to answer this and repeatedly asked Ashtavakra to ask for some other boon. When Ashtavakra still refused to ask for anything else, Yamaraja vanished. But Ashtavakra's resolve was firm. He again sat down and held his breath. As his breath stopped, the breath of everyone in the universe began to choke. Then Yamaraja knew that this disciple was worthy of the answer. The answer Yamaraja gave to Ashtavakra's question is summarized here. Yamaraja said, "After death, based on the deeds seen, heard, and performed by the soul, it is determined whether the soul will receive moksha, liberation from the cycle of rebirth, or be born again. If reborn, the deeds determine which form, yoni, or species it will take." Having learned this, Ashtavakra sought permission to return. Seeing his selfless nature, Yamaraja gave him a final blessing. From now on,
the energy of progressive self-development in life shall be known as Ashtavakra Agni. Back in the forest, as soon as Ashtavakra's subtle body returned to his physical body, he regained consciousness and stood up. Seeing this, his father Kahoda and the other sages were overjoyed. They asked him where he had gone. Ashtavakra narrated the entire story of his meeting with Yamaraja. At first, the sages thought it was just a child's dream, but when he explained everything in detail, everyone was astonished. Rishi Kahoda was filled with immense joy. He lifted Ashtavakra into his arms and said, "By gaining a brilliant son like you, my Vishwajit Yajna is truly successful. Today I have attained supreme bliss.